I've never heard that before.
She's new.
Okay. I guess that lets everybody know. That way there's no like sneaky recording. I don't know.
Yeah, so that it says that you can like disconnect in the message. So anyway, hi Rise and Thrive.
Hello, Rise and Thrive. Looks like it's gonna be Mom and I today. Cool. So we'll go ahead and do the call for the recording for any of you that are hoping to see that after the fact, because I know life is busy and sitting down all together can be a little bit difficult. So for anybody that doesn't know, I'm Allie, Mom, Wendy Curry. I'm like pointing to you on this because I guess that'll show up in the recording. You're on that same side.
I hope so.
Mom is another member of the Rise and Thrive team, and we wanted to get together to talk a little bit about natural self-care. This is something I care a lot about for many, many different reasons, and lately it feels like the world could use a little bit of self-care. I'm not sure who's transiting next to who up there, if you're into the watching what's happening up in the stars, or who's going backwards. Who knows who's in retrograde, but well, someone does. The point is, it seems like there's a lot of people around me needing a lot of self-care, and that might be true for you guys as well. So this seems like a very timely topic. And before I get started, I'm just going to be talking to myself here. So I guess I'm going to hear my voice a lot. So Mom, stop me if you think of any questions or things that might be useful to the community. But we'll start with the oils that I've been reaching for lately in case this is helpful. I know I've been holding very tightly onto my grounding oils lately because there's a lot going on. There's a lot of different directions to be pulled in, and I've been called lately to really slow down, to root, to put down roots, to stay connected to the ground in order to kind of weather these windy times. I love analogies. So the oils I've been reaching for a lot are my Balance. This is always one of my go-tos. It's a really user-friendly grounding oil. It's called the grounding blend, actually. It's what it's designed for. It's got a lot of tree oils in there, but also a couple of really beautiful high notes to kind of pick it up a little bit. So this is a go-to. This is a favorite almost across the board. Not everybody loves every oil, but this one tends to be a crowd favorite. Lately, I'm really vibing with my Frank. It's not that I ever don't love Frank, but I've been putting it in my diffuser alone lately. It is the king of oils. It is one of the highest vibrational oils, and it's really grounding, really reassuring, really supportive. I love rose too, but rose tends to carry me off into my dreams. It makes me very high vibe, but on a different energy. And Frank is very rooted to the ground. It's made out of a resin. Juniper is another one I've really been after lately. Super grounding, a little bit more of an herbaceous tree, but absolutely beautiful. And then when it comes to the pre-made rollers, Console is amazing on tough days. There have been some of those lately, and that's all right. Manuka is one that I love, very reassuring. Let's all say hi to Elsa, who's very patiently letting me do this team call. I'm house sitting, and Elsa comes with the house, and she's amazing. Manuka super grounding and reassuring as well. You're very upheld when you're wearing Manuka, and it feels like almost like an ancestral lift, like a reminder of who you are, that you've got this. It's steadying, very steadying. And then In Tune is another one that you can go for. In Tune is really good when I feel myself kind of losing focus and need to come back down. Really good for that practice. So I just wanted to share those in case anybody else is in the same space. Those are the ones that I love to reach for, especially lately. And that's one part of my self-care is knowing how I'm feeling. Slowing down is so important in that. Slowing down so that we can hear ourselves think, so that we can really tune into how we're feeling, and what it is that we need to support that. We don't need to erase it. We don't have to participate in all the like spiritual bypassing. We don't have to pretend sadness doesn't happen, but recognizing it and knowing what can help us ride that wave as smoothly as we can anyway is a massive part of self-care. And I kind of consider self-care in two different camps. There's the basics, the essentials, like my toothpaste, my deodorant, all these things that I use to actually care for my physical body, that are non-toxic and natural. And then there's the emotional, spiritual support that I find in the little extras, and finding ways to combine them is really nice. So let's start with some of the essentials, and I'll talk about how I use them. And we'll talk about how I keep it simple, because if I don't keep it simple, it won't be sustainable and it won't stick. And the idea is to have these practices consistently and to take care of yourself in this way consistently, because that's where you really start to notice changes and differences across your lifestyle. So where I started, because it was really easy and it remains really easy, was my toothpaste. I make this in small batches in one jar, as opposed to the deodorant that I'll show you later that I make a larger batch of. I just went and got little jars. You could reuse jars. I happen to have one. I had one that got really rusty. I needed to replace it. The lid was in need of replacement. So I got a new jar. And I do this one batch at a time. Now it's winter here for me right now, so it stays pretty solid because the base is coconut oil. When it's warmer here, or if you live somewhere where it's warmer, it will stay softer. And sometimes melt completely. I don't find that problematic at all. I just give it a little stir, dip my toothbrush in it, and brush my teeth. We're using coconut oil and baking soda as the base. So the coconut oil adds a little bit of consistency, a little bit of texture to it. And the baking soda is the cleaning agent. That can be true across the board. If you want to substitute your cleaning your home and stuff, you can think about it that way too. But today we're talking about self-care. So the baking soda is the cleaning agent. The coconut oil brings it all together. I like the texture of 3 tablespoons of baking soda, 2 tablespoons of coconut oil. For me, that makes the base just right. But there's no right or wrong. So if you wanted to mix it up, you can do it in different proportions if that works for you. I buy my ingredients in bulk. I happen to have a wonderful bulk store that I can order this from in paper bags, which makes me very happy. But you can get them at the supermarket too if you need to. Just get them in a big container. This becomes really economically efficient. So between those 2 base ingredients, then you just add oils to it. I choose to do tangerine because it helps to whiten the teeth. I do spearmint and peppermint because baking soda does taste salty. There's a bit of an adjustment with using this over like a really chemically or an artificial toothpaste, because they've gone through a lot of effort to hide all of that, but with ingredients that I know I personally would rather not have. So I don't find it gross at all, but it is definitely different. So I use the peppermint and the spearmint to add a little bit of sweetness and to cut that saltiness. I use clove because it's really good for gum health, and I use On Guard because, again, it's immune supporting, very good for gum health. That's my combination. If you guys like, I can make a little bit of a little sheet on my recipes. Maybe that would be handy. I can make a little PDF or something.
That would be helpful, because I was wondering like how many drops of each that you do oil.
And
so maybe,
I'll do that. Yeah, I'll make a PDF, and also I use more drops in this DIY recipe than probably most, because that baking soda is so strong, and you're putting it in your mouth. I keep talking about this like it's gross. I really don't think it's gross. I just want to give people a heads up that I use more drops to help cut the taste of the baking soda so that it's I find it perfectly palatable and really satisfying that it's clean. But the rest of them use just a few drops each. So that one I make in small batches because I dip my toothbrush in it so that I don't worry about it getting like germy or gross. Go ahead, Mom.
I just have 2 questions.
Go.
I'm assuming it does not get like foamy like
That's right. Yes, another good point. Does not suds up because all those ingredients are really artificial.
I have been using the doTERRA toothpaste, but I'm curious to make my own too. So just
that's another option too. Is if you're working on cleaning up your self-care, and that's true of most of these, I believe. So it's going to be true of all of them. everything that I'm telling you how to DIY here, if you just can't be bothered or you don't have the time or it's too much stress, don't let it become stress. There is a version that doTERRA makes. So they have cleaned up a lot of the traditional self-care products and sell a version of that pre-made so that you don't have to DIY and you can still get access to something that's much cleaner. And if you want to go, even more basic and even more DIY, I mean, my toothpaste probably takes me 30 seconds to a minute to put together. Super, super easy. Elsa. Then something else I love is my deodorant recipe, which I'll just go over quickly because I've shared it before and I'll put it on the PDF, but I make it in larger batches. So I bought a coconut oil and used the whole jar.
I was going to ask you about the toothpaste, if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
Do you also do oil pulling with it, or just as? And
Some
like,
people do.
Do you like spit it down the sink? Because when you do oil pulling, like they advise you to not spit it down the sink, just because it like clogs up the pipe. So
I do spit it in the sink. I've never had any trouble. I thought about that in the very beginning and wondered, but what I've noticed is that it just doesn't seem, I haven't had any trouble no matter where I've lived. I do rinse it with hot water. Like I run the hot tap while I'm rinsing the sink out and while I rinse my toothbrush, just because logic would tell me that will help get more of the stuff out of my toothbrush. So, not that anybody told me I had to do it that way. That works for me. I've not had any trouble. I don't oil pull. Oil pulling also uses more oil than this does. This is just coating the toothbrush, as opposed to oil pulling, which I know is usually like a tablespoon or more. That doesn't happen to be a habit. That doesn't happen to be a habit that I've picked up yet. Maybe I will someday, but yeah, it's a smaller bit of oil, so I don't think it's nearly as problematic, but I can see why they mentioned it.
okay, yeah, I just thought I would ask that, and then just again about cautioning people if they live in an older home, with older plumbing and stuff like that, to just consider. I know people who do oil pulling either spit it in the trash because you're
Yeah.
doing it longer. You might go outside and just spit it outside. So just a thought that popped into my head.
Yeah. And I would say I've got really specialized plumbing here, not new. Like this is what's the word? Not specialized. I've got really sensitive plumbing here in the tiny house. And it's not caused any trouble here. So I would say the oil pulling, I would think more about it, but the toothpaste is such a small amount. I don't think it's probably much different than anything else that you put down there with baking soda and stuff in it. The deodorant, again, another way that I kind of mix self-care in both of those categories, like staple products and just making them cleaner, because self-care is about using products that are good for our bodies. Deodorant is one I've cleaned up. This is one I bought a jar of coconut oil because I don't eat coconut oil, and just use the whole jar to make a batch of deodorant. This lasts so long. I don't even know. I think it probably cost me, I did the math at one point. I think it cost me like maybe $8 to make, something in that range. And a batch of this lasts months and months and months. The last batch lasted me almost a year. I'm getting kisses on my feet right now. And so this is another really simple recipe: coconut oil, baking soda, and arrowroot powder, aka tapioca powder, both the same thing, really cheap. And then you put oils in there, whatever ones you like. I put tea tree in there because sometimes in the summertime I get heat rash underneath my arms, and I find that the tea tree helps. But outside of that, whatever you like. It's skin too. Put good skincare oils in there, or a scent that you really enjoy in the morning. That's kind of what I do. I was doing just Aroma Touch because I loved it in the morning, and then I added a little bit of tea tree because I started getting those heat bumps. So you can really customize it, but it doesn't have to be complicated, which is really nice.
So it's kind of like a paste that you put on your fingertips and just rub underneath your armpits. And
yep. So again, it's colder here, so it actually stays quite solid. In the summertime, it melts and gets soft, and I just give the jar a shake and get some on my fingers and apply it that way. So I don't. It does take a little bit. It takes like a real quick stir, but I don't find it problematic. or annoying or anything. And I would be the first one to admit if I did, like if it was a pain. I don't find it to be a pain. And again, same like the toothpaste, I really find it gratifying that I'm using something that's so much cleaner than traditional options. Um, and those are some really like utilitarian skincare things. But beyond that, you can really start to build little moments into your day where you have this self-care. Um, and it can look like anything. This is just a little amber dropper bottle with jojoba oil. And I put, because that's the oil that I choose for oil cleansing. Um, you could use any carrier that you like. Just look into the properties. They have different properties of their own because they're also plant oils. Um, so depending on how much moisture you're looking for, or if you want something a little bit drier, yes, there are such things as dry oils, like rose hip is considered one. Jojoba most closely matches the oil that's made by our skin. That's why I use it. It does well for me year round, but you could play with it. I've tried different things. This is the one I've settled on. It's also very simple. So I just put, and this is a 60 ml dropper. I just put jojoba oil in here. And then I put some Nioli because I was out of tea tree, and some cypress because cypress is really good for balancing oil production and increasing circulation. Lots of really good things that are great for your skin. So jojoba oil and Nioli because I was out of tea tree, and that's it. This is my cleansing oil. It's another self-care step. It's building it into the routine. So I spend a few minutes each day massaging my face with the oil while I'm walking around the house doing other morning things, whatever it might be. Um, just to give myself that little bit of love. And you'd be surprised what a few seconds of a face massage can do. Um, just to help you to slow down, check in, give yourself a little bit of love. Face massages feel amazing, like disproportionately so. You'd be surprised. You can get into your pressure points, like Maggie has taught us before, around your ears and around the angle of your jaw. Up across your forehead is really nice, and your temples, obviously, over the eyebrows. Yeah, that's what I didn't even see you. Yeah, over the eyebrows is really good. The sides of the nose actually have a lot of pressure points here. And so that's another way that you can mix different categories of self-care. It's still like washing my face is still something I need to do, but I've turned it into a routine that is simple enough, but it is self-care. In kind of that other category that supports your emotional well-being and your mental health. And on days that you really need it, you can spend longer doing it. I think Maggie spends somewhere between like 5 and 10 minutes doing it. I've never managed, not never, I have not managed to make that much time a routine, but it's something I endeavor after because I know that the benefits are great. It's really simple. It's really clean, and it's low tech, which is good. I love a simple life. So
So do
um,
you put like a hot, like, washcloth or towel on your face after that, or you just leave that on your skin like that?
So oil cleansing is massaging oil into your face for a given amount of time. Ideally, like I was just saying with Maggie, it would be the 5 to 10 minutes, but even a few minutes, you'd be surprised how quickly like 60 seconds even will go by of just a good face rub. So you massage the oil into your skin. It softens the stuff that's oil soluble in your pores and helps to lift it out. And then to take it off, you take a hot towel. Over your face, let it sit for a moment and steam, give it a wipe, and then repeat it. I usually do it twice just to make sure that there's not a lot of residue left on my face. And I know I've heard Maggie say, and I do this as well, that if you've got really clogged pores, which I tend to like here, actually, I've got them kind of classic T-zone. Then you can use your cloth really gently to do just a little bit more scrubbing in those places to help clear out those pores. So that is how I cleanse my face, but I turn it into a self-care routine also, so that I'm spending a little bit of time giving myself a bit of love in a part of my routine that's going to happen anyway. And before my day gets too busy and I lose track of doing it, and maybe I don't find any other time, hopefully that's not the case, but hopefully maybe I don't. And I've at least put in that bit of time to provide myself some self-care.
Gosh, that makes me think maybe that would be a good time for me to, like, consistently use my gua sha.
Yeah. Yeah. The gua sha is something I'm I love the gua sha, and I am also working to make it a bit more of a routine. Um,
Awesome.
one step at a time,
Right,
but
right.
it is, oh, it's so good. So good. Um, so that's one of my self-care hacks, is just finding little moments. I know everybody says that, but this is how I do it. This is how I find those little moments that um stay in alignment with the things that I want for myself and remind me, little bits that remind me each day, um, to take that little bit of appreciation and time. Like, even if it is just brushing my teeth with something that's like super clean and non-toxic, that's really satisfying and gives me a little bit of a boost, you know? Um, I do make my own skin cream. This is something that could sound really complicated, but actually doesn't have to be. I just found that moisturizing my face with oils wasn't quite enough, especially in the winter time here. I get really dry. So I decided to make myself more of like a um, body butter for my face with oils that were friendly to my face. So, or butters rather. So I went and ordered, I've got mango butter. Just, I know it sounds really what's the word I'm looking for, exotic. But I was able to find it with my supplier, and I bought it because it's really good for repairing sun damage. But that said, of course, it's not the only one that's good for repairing sun damage. I also was able to buy, I think this is my aloe, um, a big jar of aloe gel. So I chose those because I know I've got skin damage. So I mix those two ingredients, aloe and mango butter, with a little bit of jojoba oil just to lighten it up, because the mango butter is really solid at room temperature. So I was just looking for something with a liquid at room temperature temperament, so that it could bring that texture closer to like a cream. So there wasn't anything crazy scientific about it. This is just what I decided to try. I melt it in a double boiler. And then mix in my essential oils at the end as it's cooling, so that they don't evaporate any faster than they have to. That's it. It takes me about 15 minutes. I have shared this recipe before, but I can share it again in case anybody's looking for it. But I really want to encourage you guys to know that it doesn't have to be complicated. I have played with this recipe a little bit over many batches to try to figure out what works for me. So I'll put the recipe out there as a starting point, but just know that it can be as simpler, as a creative as you want it to be. And so I put my oils in here for skincare, like geranium and frank, tea tree. There's a handful of oils in here.
I've also melted butters like that. Now, I don't have mango. That does seem exotic to me, but
Mhm.
um, like coconut or cocoa butter, whatever, in like a crock pot. So if you don't have a double boiler, just putting it on low in a crock pot will also melt it gently. And I found that to be a really easy way to
Yeah,
do it as well.
that- that's a good idea. That's really, I like that. That's really simple. Um, I don't have a real double boiler, so I just put a saucepan with a bit of water and a glass bowl on top, for anybody that doesn't know that trick. Um, but a crock pot is purpose made. That's nice. It'll be like controlled temperature. So yeah, however you want to melt them. I just want to let people know that like this stuff is possible. It doesn't have to be complicated, and it doesn't have to take a long time. Like I said, this is probably the most complicated thing that I make for my self-care, is my face cream, and it takes me maybe 15 minutes to do it. Um, so yeah, just melting things together, give them a good whisk so that they're really well mixed, especially the aloe, so that it breaks down in the warm oil. And then as it's cooling, add your essential oils, and that's it. And
If
then
mango butter is not something in our repertoire, do you have a suggestion for what kind of butter would be a different alternative? Just curious.
I think it really just depends on what you're looking for. Because I picked the mango butter because of the qualities that it has for skin healing. But I hesitate to say what an exact equivalent would be, only because it really depends on what somebody wants. Like if you want something really, if you need a lot of moisture in your skin, shea is really beautiful. If you need something lighter, a lot of people love coconut oil. Coconut oil doesn't penetrate my skin well enough. I need more moisture than that. So that's why I don't use coconut. Um, Also, for some people, coconut oil can be problematic on the face, but not everybody. Um, so I think they're all, to be really honest, I think they're all really similar. Whether you use cocoa butter, shea butter, mango butter, any other exotic thing you can find, they're going to have pretty similar textures and moisture levels, not exactly the same, but pretty similar. And from there, it's just looking at, you know, what skincare qualities you're looking for. And a quick Google is pretty easy for that. Like, yes, pay attention to which website you're reading your information on so that you know you're getting information from someone you want to get it from. But there's really no wrong answer, and it doesn't have to be complicated. If it's shea butter because that's what you can find at the supermarket, then great. You just melt that down, add it with some jojoba oil or something to keep it soft, and play with the proportions. Make a small batch, start there, see if you like the feeling, the texture, the moisture. If it needs more or less of the jojoba next time, then you know that. And I started out making really like quite small batches of this, so that I could play with the proportions until I really liked the texture, because from there it's just which essential oils you want to add. So yeah, and you don't have to do face cream either if you don't want to. Like if it's a bit too much, that's fine. Take it one step at a time. This is all just to offer up what I do, so that people can get some ideas about what might appeal to them, what might not appeal to them, and maybe have a place to start, and also know that they can come and ask questions, not just of me. A lot of us do this. A lot of us doTERRA advocates do this. So it's a great resource in the community. There's lots of people here that do it. Feel free to ask. Feel free to ask. We do all kinds of ingredients, all kinds of self-care is something that's always coming up, and ways to work it into our day that is sustainable and useful for everybody.
Does
So
the mango butter smell like mango? I'm
no, it
curious.
doesn't.
It
No,
does not?
it's
Okay.
no, it's made, I think it's made from the seed of the
Hmm,
mango, which is pretty cool. Um,
okay, thanks.
but yeah, so I only chose that one because it happened to be on this great DIY website that I have. And there are some fantastic ones in the States too. Um, but I just want everybody to know you can do it from stuff that you can find at the supermarket as well. So it doesn't have to be complicated. But the world of plants is pretty endless, so you can do whatever you like with it. And another recipe, this is something that I love because my skin gets really dry. It's great for like a self massage of any kind, but foot massage is really nice. As body butter. Mine's almost gone, you can see, so I'm gonna have to make another another batch here soon. I've tried many different recipes for this, but most of them stick to a pretty basic recipe. I was looking for a different word, but again, a lot like the face cream that I was talking about, just in a larger batch. I love cocoa butter for this because I love lots of moisture, but shea is also beautiful, or a mix of the two will give you a nice rich body butter. And then you can cut it with, I use coconut oil to cut the really hard oils or the hard butters, because the mango butter, I'll show you. Or even the shea, I'll show you. This is my shea. So this is what the shea looks like at room temperature. It's pretty solid and crumbly, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's just how shea is. But in order to turn it into like a nice facial moisturizer or a body butter, you just want to think of how they are at room temperature and kind of pick a texture that fits. So that's why coconut oil that's really soft at room temperature and often semi-melted can make a great thing to temper these more solid butters when you're making those. That otherwise you could do pure shea, but you would have to hold it in your hand and warm it, get it soft. It would be a pain. And so I cut mine with coconut oil to make it a softer texture. And because it's not going on my face. So that's really economically friendly as well, coconut oil is. So I use cocoa butter on my body, sometimes shea. Like I made my sunscreen with shea. And that would be just like a body butter recipe with some zinc mixed in. And then I add oils that are really good for the skin, and ones that are especially nice kind of all over when you're in that moment, because I don't apply body butter every day, but it feels really nice when I do. And so I use things like Frank, peppermint. I've got peppermint in this one because it's a really nice kind of pick me up, and lavender. That's what I used in this one. It also happens to be the sunburn protocol, so it's handy when I happen to sunburn myself. It's got all the right ingredients for that. And even though peppermint sounds suspicious on a sunburn, I was not sure I believed everyone when they told me how amazing it was. I was like, that sounds painful. That sounds really unpleasant. I don't know. Everybody must be crazy, but everyone said it. And so I finally tried it, and it feels so good. It's not that kind of tingle. It's not the burning one. It really does cool and soothe it. I was pretty blown away at how good it feels. And I have managed to give myself some pretty wicked sunburns since I've been in the southern hemisphere, and both in Tonga and here. So this has definitely come to my rescue. But it doesn't always have to be a sunburn. It's also fantastic for the in-betweens. The peppermint's a pick-me-up, the lavender, the Frank are great for your skin and also amazing for your mental health. So now you're covering yourself in emotional support oils, and you're taking care of your skin, and you're doing it with really clean ingredients, and you're taking that minute to give yourself a little bit of a self massage. Even if you're quick about it, just be intentional about it. If you've got 30 seconds to put on your moisturizer in the morning, but you're going to do it, just spend those 30 seconds quietly. It doesn't have to be a lot of time. Just be intentional about it. Okay, this has to be quick, but I'm going to be right here for just a few seconds, giving myself that bit of self massage, and then move on through your day. Because intention has so much to do with it, so much to do with finding the time. I'm trying to think. I was going to show you guys also, Maggie is fantastic. I want you to know that you can be as creative with these things as you want to be. You don't have to be. But Maggie's got these beautiful rollers with crystals in them. This is one of her skincare oils. That smells so good. This is the embolic oil. But you can find beautiful bottles and put them in. Now you're making your DIY self-care feel really special, feel really beautiful. This is another beautiful example she sent me. This is a face toner that she made, but it's got crystals in it, and it's a frosted glass bottle, and it's just absolutely gorgeous. And there's just no denying that there's just something that feels special about a nice bottle, and you don't have to spend a lot of money on them. They can be really inexpensive. They can be really easy to find. And the difference between putting something in a bottle like this or a bottle like this, whichever one feels fancy to you, do it. Like it's such a small investment. Yeah, Mom, that's another one there. Is that the Rise and Thrive one?
Yeah, and I put stickers on mine because I can.
Nice. See, exactly. So don't underestimate. Yeah,
I can't
like
remember. What are the brown? I can't remember the crystal, Al.
Tiger's eye.
Yes, thank you. That word was escaping
Is that
me.
what that is? Yeah.
A tiger's eye roller on it and stuff too. So yeah.
And Tiger's Eye is great because Tiger's Eye has everything to do with like grounding and bravery and confidence. And what a beautiful way, like thing to incorporate, because then each time you look at that roller, you get that, your brain gets that little reminder. So yeah, so don't underestimate the power of a really pretty bottle, whatever really pretty means to you. Whatever, I love picking these up because I feel really satisfied about being kind of a mad scientist about my skincare and my self-care. But I really love these kinds of bottles too that Maggie loves to go out and find. So hi, Kim. So just know that you can do this as simply or as creatively as you like, but it's the littlest things that can make quite a difference in how you feel about your products. This bottle is actually one I was going to mix with you guys just to show you. I do love to spray oils in my hair. I have really fine hair and really easily broken. It breaks really easily because it's so thin. And so I like to use oils to strengthen my hair as well as to encourage new hair growth. And so I use the oils that I've gone through and picked like a short list. So this is as simple as it is. This is a 60 ml bottle. I've just about run out, so I figured I would just mix this with you guys on the call today. So 60 ml bottle, I'm going to use rosemary because it's good for strengthening your hair and hair growth. And I'm going to do 3 drops of each, mostly because the last time I did 5 drops of each and it was a little bit too much oil for my hair type. My hair is really fine though. So if you've got normal to thick hair, you probably could do the 5 drops and it won't be too much. I'm gonna do lavender because it's amazing for moisturizing and for soothing any scalp skin issues that you have. I don't happen to have any. It's just that lavender is really good for essentially everything. So I'll use it for that. Ylang ylang is really good for strengthening and thickening the hair. So I'll do 3 drops of that. Maybe. There it goes. I love sandalwood because my hair can feel frizzy and dry, as fine as it is. So I just do a couple of drops of sandalwood because it adds quite a bit of moisture to the mix, and strengthening, as well as the beautiful spiritual benefits or emotional benefits of sandalwood. It is the oil of the third eye. So we're in the vicinity of our third eye up there on the tops of our heads. And there's just nothing that smells like Hawaiian sandalwood. It is an oil of patience. This is one of the more viscous ones. If you wanted to get 5 ml droppers, you could. I just haven't gone through the trouble to do that, but it could be helpful. And then clary sage, also really good for the hair. So I'm going to do 3 drops of that. Now that's it. Like, so I just put 3 drops of each of the 5 oils in there. I'll top this with water and it's done. Some people use distilled water. I don't bother. I don't know. I don't know if that's good advice or not. It's never been problematic for me. I know it's probably the perfect option, but I don't have distilled water. I also don't want to buy distilled water in a plastic bottle because that's not something I want to do. So I just use tap water. If I had trouble with it, I maybe would change my habits or find another way, but I've never had any trouble. So I just will put tap water in this to the top. And then when I get out of the shower, one of my little self-care moments is to give this a really good shake and then to spray the roots of my hair while it's wet. And then I brush my hair out and that kind of brushes it through the length of my hair. But that really is as long as it takes to make some of these things, particularly the really simple ingredients. So those are some of the ways that I fit self-care naturally into my routine. And find little moments for it on days that can be especially busy. Something I'm working on incorporating, I've moved one of my face oils up to the loft up by my bed with my gua sha, so that as I tuck in for bed, I've got it right there and I can just put a little bit of oil on my face, give myself a gua sha, and it happens much more often that way. Nobody's perfect. I'm certainly not. But I work to be as consistent with these things as I can be because I know that that's what keeps me feeling healthy and feeling ready for whatever is coming my way. A lot of people know that this has been quite a crazy year, not just for me, but for everyone. And so I feel like we're all in a space where we could use all the tips and tricks that we can get, just to find a way to make it a part of our day, because it has so much to do with our physical and our emotional health. So yeah, that was a lot of my own words, but I just wanted to share how it is that I work that into my quasi routine. Because self-care is everything.
Wasn't it Kim that said it was self-care central with her lately or something? That totally made me laugh when
Yeah,
self-care.
totally. And she's not the only one feeling that way. I know a lot of people right now who are feeling the need to slow down and to look inside and to kind of retreat a little bit. And there's you in the middle of the woods doing that.
Exactly.
Because life is just so busy. It's really easy to get carried away with it. And slowing down to do self-care, realizing that that's not actually slowing yourself down, that by slowing down you can get more done, and get it done better and in a way that you're happier with. But also this idea, Kim and I just taught this yoga retreat, not retreat, this yoga workshop with oils. And we talked a lot about this idea of root to rise. So in order to grow upwards, and we're all after these things that we want to do, the things that we want to accomplish, things that we want to get, the places we want to go, the person we want to be. We're all focused on growing, but it's really easy to forget that in order to be able to grow really tall, you have to put your roots down. And when you're looking for time to grow upward, a lot of times that's the stuff that gets neglected first and gets cut out first as if it's not essential. But we've all seen trees that are toppled with their roots just ripped right out of the ground. And we don't want to set ourselves up to be that tree. I did say in the beginning of class, I love this class. I love analogies. But you can grow really tall, but it doesn't do you a lot of good if the first really big wind comes and you're toppled and you're falling back over and you have to start over. So you just having to remain intentional about putting down roots, about slowing down in order to get more done, about rooting down so that we can grow. Root to rise is this concept that keeps coming back lately. And for me, self-care is a huge way to keep my roots down, to keep roots on the ground so that I'm steady, so that whatever comes along, I might sway a bit, but I don't topple completely. So that's where I see the value of self-care. So anywhere you find it is useful, whether it is brushing your teeth or, oil cleansing for even a minute in the day, or taking your 30 seconds really intentionally, if that's all you've got, to put on your body butter and just enjoy that sensation for the 30 seconds you've got before you move on with your day. You'll always be able to come at your day with a lot more balance if you check in first in that way.
Or like even drinking water first thing in the morning, right? Like just even drinking water, and whether you put an essential oil in there, but like hydrating your body first thing is such a self-care thing as
Yeah.
well, right?
Yeah,
Like
that's another really good self-care
yeah,
habit.
I did that today. I drank a quart of water or whatever it is for you, first thing in the
Yeah.
morning.
That's how I feel about my celery juice.
Right.
I don't always manage to do my celery juice first thing in the morning. But whenever I do, like, the rest of my day is so much more grounded. Doing something that high vibrational, first thing is massive for staying grounded through the rest of my day, without a doubt. So yeah, so that's my long-winded talk about my self-care routine and what's possible and what you can do. I guess I just really would love to leave everybody with the impression that there's so many resources for this in this community. All of us doTERRA advocates, the Rise and Thrive team, because not all of us are doTERRA advocates, tons and tons of resources about self-care. So whether it's physical self-care, like I've done a lot of talking about today, or other habits, just ask, because you never know what's going to work for you. And so there's something really beautiful about having a community that you can put the call out to or ask questions, and you may get several different answers, but you get to try them on and see what fits and find the thing that works for you, because there's no right or wrong answer. It's just about finding what it is that when you do it, you go, oh yeah, like that hit the spot. Yeah, so it doesn't have to be the big hour-long massage. As much as I love those things, and as much as I love those appointments and stuff, finding the little moments on the daily is where the change happens, and where the grounding remains, rather than floating away and then using a big appointment to come back down again. In between, it's more consistent, more sustained, and then so are we, more sustained. So that's what I have for you.
Ta-da! Lovely. And I look forward to recipes and stuff. So thanks for
Yeah.
putting together in whatever format that looks like. So just usable. All that matters. Doesn't have to be pretty.
Yeah, absolutely. It won't take me long. I've gotten pretty smooth with Canva, so I can put together a PDF that way. Everybody will have a resource for these specific recipes, but post your questions in the comments, ask, crowdsource, see what other people are doing, have a conversation. Let's yeah, we can share it. There's so much knowledge in this group, so much knowledge.
Or
not
culture,
just with
that's
the leaders of the Rise and Thrive team, but everybody that's here. So let's
everybody should,
utilize that.
please. I would love to see what other people do too, right? And advocates still ask advocates, right? Like
Yeah,
we say
totally.
to each other, right? Like advocates need resources too. So we're asking each other questions. So don't
Yeah,
ever feel bad about putting a question out there because
it's definitely an exchange. We're learning from each other, all of
yep,
us. So
it's mutual,
yeah.
right? Mutual exchange. So awesome job.
Yeah, so let's do that. Let's utilize our community to all be able to crowdsource and learn and find what works for us so that we can keep going.
Awesome.
All right,
Thank you.
sending lots of love to the community. Mwah.
Bye,
And we'll check in
everybody.
soon. Oh yeah, Elsa. Elsa says bye.